So this week we're talking about joy.
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 The expectancy of good.
Joy is not being happy all the time.
Who else has shown up more fully in their expression?
But joy is a space that we live from.
And said, this is who I am, and I'm no longer going to hide it.
And to recognize how much more joy is available now.
A way of being.
Hello, hello, hello. We are welcoming you to Truth Be Told. It's another Tuesday night, and we're happy to be here. Happy that you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay. Thank you. I want to start by giving Dan more credit because those opening teasers, that is nice editing work. Nice job, Dan. Now, we are here this week and this month. We are celebrating the space between. We are celebrating Pride Month. So let me say happy Pride. This is a great time of year where we get to really acknowledge the people that are showing us the way forward. Massive amounts of courage and years of evolution that have gotten us to this point. So it is truly a pleasure. Now, if you want to support us in this cause, by all means, please do. One way, when you get done with here, you can go click YouTube. We're trying to extend our reach, and the more people that we get this message to, the more people that are waking up with us. So that being said, joy, the space between. We are going to talk about how it shows up and what it means in the LGBTQIA plus community. We're going to talk about how it affects the individual and what it means for all of us on the collective scale, because that's really where the future is. This is what we're talking about. Personal transformation leading to communal evolution. That this is a powerful time to be alive on this planet, and we appreciate you being here with us. Now, for this month, the way that we are opening up each one of our episodes is that we are doing a blessing. And this week it is, like I said, focused around the idea of joy. We're doing this laid over on our Pride word wall, which you can find on our website. If you would like to contribute, right when you go to the soevolutioncollaborative.org, it pulls up a pop-up menu, and you can type in your blessing for the blessing of the week, and it will be uploaded onto that Pride word wall, which has been fun. It's nice to see this project unfolding, and I think it looks beautiful. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into this blessing so we can start this episode off. Thanks for being here.
Tonight, we honor the space in between, knowing that it is not void, but instead houses the strength and resilience of our collective experience. We celebrate those individuals within the LGBTQIA plus community who have and continue to pave the way so that a little more truth and goodness can seep into our collective experience.
Tonight we celebrate and honor the expression of joy in all its many forms. A joy that fills the space in between. Joy that serves as the understanding of the truth of who and what we are. It is from this space of truth that we can live, move, and have our being. This joy is the essence of the individualized expression of the divine, which is housed in all of us.
Tonight, we celebrate those individuals who live their joy out loud. Joy in all its many expressions as seen through the lens of a truly authentic life. We see you, we honor your journey, and we bless you on your continued path.
Joy. The expectancy of good. Certainly something that is worth celebrating. And so, like the attributes we have celebrated already this month as part of Pride, we are recognizing this week joy as an attribute of God, an attribute of ourselves, and certainly something worth celebrating and holding for each other, this opportunity of joy. I have recognized in preparation for this process how much I have taken for granted the opportunity to be in joy, recognizing that there are certainly many groups throughout the world who are oppressed for one reason or another, in one way or another. And joy is simply not something that is easily accessible in those places for those people. And so I recognize that joy is something that we need to honor and celebrate this month as part of Pride, because it is not something that is easily accessible for everyone. And so I recognize that we stand here holding this space to honor the place for joy, the way that joy can show up, the joy that is available, and to recognize how much more joy is available now for certain groups than perhaps in the past. And so especially within the LGBTQIA plus family, that joy is now something I hope is coming more into the norm for anyone in this family, that anyone in this community, that there is now a greater expression of joy available in this world for this community. And so I also recognize that there is certainly a long way to go in having an equal experience of joy for everyone. And so once again, I just hold this space of joy, knowing that we are all doing our part in moving forward to this greater experience of good, so that we all do have this expectancy of an equal good for each one of us, and for all of us combined, the collective of us. So joy, absolutely something that we need to recognize and celebrate this month, that we are creating this space right here and right now for an equal expression of joy in everyone that we know.
I love that idea. How far we've come, just looking back, and was it 50 years since the Stonewall Uprising? To imagine, I mean, it's a pretty, in our country, it's a pretty commendable distance that we've covered. I mean, granted, we still have a long ways to go, but
yeah.
I like how you linked this idea. It was ever so subtle, but this idea of joy and expectancy. Because I think it has that, both of those words have kind of some of the same feel to it. It's this movement forward.
Yeah.
So joy is this like, I don't know, I always think about it as like living inside out, this sort of feeling, this kind of emoting sort of expression. And the same with expectancy, it has this forward moving sort of idea. So to be able to highlight that, within the LGBTQIA plus community, that there is this movement forward. I think that we have a lot of room to grow in a lot of aspects. But I think that this idea of joy and this expectancy, this moving forward, I think is parallel to what we're experiencing on the planet. Of this evolution, this something, like there's something brewing that is calling us to this expectancy, that's calling us to this greater expression of joy. And not just on an individual level, but you talked about collectively. Because if there's a lack in one area, then we all are impacted by that. And so trying to align with this kind of collective joy, this collective expectancy.
Yeah.
We just have the same sort of energy to it.
Well, there's something that came to mind, and I guess I had the feeling of it more than I did necessarily the words, but watching it again now, it's like, oh, this is about like the freedom. Like we don't have, it's not like we get to express joy because of freedom, but we have ultimately like this birthright in us, this freedom to express joy. And I think society, we have that backwards. We're trying to get to a place so that we can then express joy. And I think what we're learning along the way is we have to just be willing to stand in our joy now and own it now, and live in that sense of freedom that we can do that now. And like what got me to realize that was how much the world has always supported me in having that experience, right? Like as white male, that's been there the whole time. And it's like, oh man, that is definitely, what a privilege it is to have been able to do that. And then, hey, let's like do things different now so that everyone, to the best of our ability, so that everyone has that opportunity. So we do our daily reading thing on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So for anyone watching who hasn't checked it out, we do this segment called "That's What He Said" in the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, and we're reading our way through the whole book in a year. It's a pretty big book. And yesterday in the reading, or maybe it was today, might have been today, there's this phrase, he gets to this point, he says, make sure that we always have this like aggressive mental attitude towards, basically like towards our desire. I don't think I've ever read that phrase. I was like, yeah, we need to have this aggressive mental attitude towards expressing joy equally, like towards everything.
And that's just movement to it. It's like this like movement.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It goes back to that expectancy that Reverend Ryan was pointing out from yours. We have to, if you want to see it, you have to expect it and create that. If you don't expect it, it's definitely not going to see it.
Sure. Yep.
Very cool. Aggressive.
So this week we're talking about joy. So what does that mean on the individual level? So joy is not being happy all the time. And joy is not even happiness. And when we think about happiness, we think about those things that make us happy, those things that make us smile or laugh or bring a lightness to our experience. And those things are amazing. But like life, those things come and go. It's impermanent. And we can be happy one moment and then the next moment be sad or be angry or be challenged by something. So this experience of joy is not always being happy. It's not this idea that if I think positive thoughts and everything is going to go exactly the way I want it and there'll be no challenges or problems. No. So joy is deeper than that. Joy is not something that happens to us, but joy is a space that we live from. So how do we get that? I'm glad you asked. So I have my own answer. And so here we go. I think that we sink into this idea of joy. We can live from this space of joy when we truly understand who and what we are. That the thing, the power, the presence, whatever you want to call it, that funds, fuels, sustains, maintains this entire universe has its home right here. Inside me, inside you, inside all of us. And so joy serves as this awareness, this steadfast awareness of the source of who and what we are. So when we are really clear that we are individualized expressions of this one power and presence, when we're really clear about that, then that's the space we live from. And that is joy. Now, you may not find that definition of joy in a dictionary, and honestly, who owns a dictionary these days? But this definition really speaks to a way of being, a way of seeing ourselves, and then a way of living that way out loud. So joy serves as this anchor. So this awareness, this truth of who and what we are, serves as this anchor that grounds us no matter what may happen on the outside. No matter what life brings us, no matter the challenges or situations or triumphs or anything that we experience in life, we have that firm foundation. And that is joy. That is a space of awareness. That is a space of expansion. That is the space of living in truth. And so the freedom of living from this space allows us to expand, to evolve, to transform, to open our experience to everything that life has to offer, knowing that each and everything is moving us forward. Each and every opportunity gives us a new way of looking at things. And so when we rest in this, when we sit in this, when we know this, then we can always experience this joy, this fluidity of being, this passion of presence. Because we know who and what we are. And man, doesn't that bring so much joy?
I love that juxtaposition of happiness and joy. That idea that, oh, if I just think really positive thoughts all the time, that everything's going to go my way and it's going to be great and I'll be happy. And yet, like, isn't that the exact opposite of happiness? Of thinking that we need to, like, micromanage, like, every thought and motion and movement and activity so that we'll be happy. Like, trying to, like, white knuckle. Like, it just, for me, it had that feeling of just trying to white knuckle our way through things. And, like, yeah, that's the exact opposite of joy. Yeah, that sounds like stress for sure. Yeah, like joy, that idea that, like, being able to let go of, like, instead of white knuckling, just let go and trust. And, like, yeah, I'm going, again, here we go with the expectancy. I'm going to expect good to happen, live in this joyous state all the time, and recognize, hey, not everything is going to go the way that I thought it would go, or maybe necessarily want it to go. And that can still be cool. Like, that's still okay. And
Yeah.
I that was just so, that was probably the clearest I think I've ever heard any of us say that.
Oh, that's good to know. You know, and I think that, like, this, you know, it's like you can be in a space of joy and still be sad, angry, worried, all those things. So it's not like and or, you know, it's not like, for me, joy is more about just this, like a knowing, this balance, this kind of space of, like, yeah, we know this, like, some crappy things can really happen sometimes, but knowing, like you said over and over again, that there's always something going on. So the joy is like this understanding that there's always something going on, and it's always moving us in this direction. And I think that is joy. And I think some people can have tapped into that, like, amazingly, and some of us are still working on that, but it's a process, right?
And even the idea that, like, in those moments, like, to be in this joyous way of life and have something happen that makes, you know, that we are sad about. Mm-hmm. You almost then get to, like, enjoy being sad. Mm-hmm. Right? There's, like, this deeper experience of, like, oh wow, I get to express so fully in, like, every direction. I'm not trying to just strive for this, like, positive experience and ignore all, like, it's like it opens up this doorway to, like, you can, you know, love as deeply as you can hurt, but also hurt so deeply as you love. And it, right, it's just this whole expanse in every direction, which is kind of it's a very cool thing.
Well, it gives texture to life. It gives this, like, three-dimensional sort of, I don't know, gooiness.
Yeah.
I see it really clearly now. You know, we are in this physical world, and we get to, like you said, enjoy that space of being sad. You know, we get the happy and the sad, and that's the whole idea, this duality world. And the joy comes from appreciating, because, I mean, there is depth in those emotions, and what a gift it is that we get to experience these things. So in that, all of that is that just joy of getting to have this physical experience. Very cool.
Like, life is all of that. Life is not just the good things or the happy things or the, you know, times we're excited, but life encompasses everything. And so for me, joy is kind of like this expansive appreciation of life and all of its expressions.
Yeah.
It's beyond the surface of what we can see, and just kind of that foundation, that framework that we operate from or can operate.
It may be hard to call it joy when we're in the depth of that sad experience.
For sure.
But you know, at some point, hopefully we can appreciate some of that richness.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Deep. It's good. I like it. All right. So thank you so much for being here. We are definitely not complete yet, but we did want to just take a time to set aside to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching with us and for supporting us. We are immensely grateful for all of the support that you might be able to offer in whatever way that looks like, whether it's just tuning in here, whether it's sharing, liking, commenting, or attending Thursday nights or meditations on Wednesdays. And of course, if you are able to give in any way, we are greatly appreciative of that as well. And so if you are able to give financially in whatever way, make sure that you are able to give in a way that feels good, because we know that we have the absolute most amazing job in the world, and that we couldn't think of anything else that we would rather do than to be here in this Soul Evolution Collaborative ministry and serving all of you. So if you are able to give and to support this ministry, this mission, you can give at soulevolutioncollaborative.org. There's a donate button on the homepage. And yeah, thank you so much once again.
Joy, and why is it important to all of us? Well, as we've learned, joy comes from within. It comes from that deeper place, and it's enhanced and flows more easily when we remember what it is that we come from, that we are children of the infinite, of the divine, that we are inherently perfect just by the fact of being born. And it's the same thing on the all of us level, on the global level, when we look at humanity and remember like how amazing it is or where we came from, then we remember too on that macro level that we are from that infinite divine. And that's how we can move into more of the joy, is just by knowing that. So when we know what we come from, it's easy, even in the face of adversity, to still be in a place of joy when others around us may not be there. It's a matter of remembering that and just having faith in all of the infinite experience that we get to do. Now, the quickest way to shut down that flow of joy is to criticize ourselves or criticize others. When we do that, it sends a subconscious to ourselves that, maybe there's something wrong with me too. When we criticize another, that means that somebody could be not inherently perfect just by being born, that there could be something wrong with them. And then to not look like a hypocrite, I have to make sure that I don't show up in some way that might not be desirable for everybody. And now we've got this shutdown of our creative expressions of who and what we are, our fullest sense of being in this world. So that criticism is the quickest way to shut it down. That's no good. So I have to say it once again, all month long, the LGBTQ community is absolutely my hero. Who else has shown up more fully in their expression, even in the face of danger, the face of animosity, and said, this is who I am, and I'm no longer going to hide it. I'm no longer going to put a mask on. I'm here to show the world how I am. What a hero every single one of you are. And I have to draw my attention to that, remind myself that I will no longer censor myself. I will no longer hold back and play small for fear of how other people may see me. As we move forward into this new world, this new earth that we are birthing all the time, we are in constant creation. We need to remember and celebrate those heroes who are showing up in their boldness, in their braveness, in their courageous selves to show the world what is possible. This is the world that we're moving into, and it is a glorious, beautiful thing. And when we connect with that, we can live in this sense of joy all the time, even in those challenging situations. There's that underlying knowing that I am part of the divine, that everybody around me is part of that divine. And even in the parts of people that aren't the most desirable, the things that we see that we would like to change about others, we need to dial back that criticism and just remember that they are still a child of the divine, no matter how it is that we show up. So we can learn from one another of how to accept others that are different from us, even the ones that sometimes don't hold the same type of value and care, and express the things that discriminate against others. We need to remember that everybody's in their space where they are. Show up the best you can, and that gives permission to others to do the same. The people that are discriminating the most, they're the ones that are blocking their own joy the most. And it makes sense that, yeah, they're going to run around and not be the happiest people to be in presence with. So as we show up in our deepest joy and share that with others, give permission to others to be their deepest selves, the world just continues to expand in this beautiful way that it is unfolding each and every day. Joy for all of us when we remember that we are that divine and let that shine.
Dude, you were preaching it, man. He was
Yeah.
like, okay. No, I like that idea of, we're talking about from the individual now to like this collective level, is that when we are really steadfast and stand in our own space, that we give others the license and permission to do the same, so that it becomes this sort of collective sharing of the truth of what we are. And so, that we could show up and can bring our stuff and say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm working on, and this is, the path of growth that I'm looking towards, then it gives others the permission to do the same. So it's like this really contagious sort of expression. So I like you highlighted that, because I know, like, when I've been in communities, when other people have been brave and stood in very steadfastly who and what they were, and understanding that who they are is the divine expression. That's not something that has to be censored. When I see that, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can do the same thing too. And so then we're all like collectively raised by the light of everyone else. And so this sort of like encouraging others to share their light, then we all can see better. And so I like how you brought that to light.
Yeah. There are so many things, and I mean, yeah, absolutely, just preaching it, man. But there was something early on that you said that I can't believe it would be possible that I never would have had this thought in this way. And it's going to sound really simple, but so, all right, this idea, you said something about like everybody is, we're all born in this perfection, in this divine light. And I think that's an idea that's like super common within our movement, probably within any new thought movement. But then something hit me, you said right after that, it just hit me in a way that it never really struck before. You know how like you hear something and it sounds like it's the first time you're hearing it, it just sinks in this whole other way. Okay, so yeah, duh. That would mean like everyone is born perfect in that way. And that means that the collective, like the way we all show up together, is also born into that perfection. And I think that's really hard to remember. Mm-hmm. Right? That like it's really easy to think like, well, I had to work to get to this place to know this. So everyone else would also, right? Yeah. Like I had to uncover years worth of stuff. So everyone else should also have to do that, or would also have to do that, or whatever version of that, right? But like this idea that we were all born into this world, into a perfect collective, is like, holy shit. I mean, that just sunk in and hit, and like, I don't know, something about the way you said it. That, and yeah, we still have the free will to show up and cover up and hide that stuff if we want, and then reap the painful experience that it brings about from doing that, but then also to experience the reward then of uncovering it again as a collective. Like we are mirroring, our individual journey is mirroring the collective journey, and yeah, that definitely sunk in a whole new way tonight about not only are we here, the three of us, doing this ministry to collaborate to be that beacon that you talked about, but we're also already a part of that whole perfection. Yeah, that's really important.
So, well, then it's just kind of double blow my mind. I mean, like, now to bounce off that, now I see it differently than I just did like 30 seconds ago. Because, I think it is, we have this idea that we're moving from this state of imperfection to perfection. We're trying to get it. We're trying to get whatever it is. But the idea is actually it's backwards. We already have, and so we're trying to move our way back. And so wow, that is interesting. Doesn't that give? Well, that goes back to this whole idea of expectancy. Is that I don't know. I can't even really express it now because it's already in us. So it's not something that we have to if we put this right formula in, then we'll get it. Or if we just do it this way, or if we say the right thing, or if we, preach the right sermon or go to the right spiritual community, then all of us will collectively move. But it's already, it is in ourselves. It's it's inborn in us. And so, this process is just adjusting the lens that we're seeing it. We're used to looking at things with this lens. So we're oh, no, that's not quite right. It's I don't know. Wow, that's powerful, Chris.
I hope this translates well, through the screen, because there's no way that these are words that we have not said before. We probably even said all of these same things in other videos, but I'm glad to know that it hit you in a new way too, because I went oh man. Well, so I hope that translates across the video.
But what a sense of hope that brings. Because sometimes we think things can be so on the outside look just terrible, honestly. And know that truth that we seek, or that place of peace and joy and collective, all that, it's not far off. It's actually right here.
Yeah.
And so to really turn our gaze to understanding that, I don't know, it gives a little bit more hope than I had about 30 seconds ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Good job, Chris.
I said it in the video, talking about that micro to the macro. We know that that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And I said it in the video, and I knew it, and I was in it. But then again, as soon as you brought it up and said it again, a whole new level again. So I mean, it's pretty wild how it continues just to sink in different ways. But yes, remembering that as that society, we are inherently absolutely perfect exactly right now. How do we celebrate, have gratitude for that, and then stop putting up that resistance, that's criticizing, and show the way.
I get this visual of when you've had an old house, or where they painted the windows, or painted around the windows, and over and over and over again. Now it's all this layers of paint, and it just seems like each realization is removing layer, until eventually the window can open. And so that's what we're working towards. Is just removing the layers, because the window's there, and the ability to get out is there, and the freedom that comes from that. It's just removing those things little by little. And it starts with our own selves, of course. It's not like we're removing other people's paint. Lord knows I'd want to, because we get that way sometimes. Oh my God, if they would just do that differently, then it'd be
it's a lot easier when it's somebody else's paint.
Oh yes, for sure. But it's take care of your own paint. And then it's Yeah, it's like just removing those layers, and so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to understand, like you said, Chris, that this whole idea of criticism and looking outward and whatnot, realizing that we all have the same stuff, you know, and operating from that space.
Yep. I like the paint analogy of instead of, pulling it off, just stop putting on more also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
That's the first step, is just to stop putting more on.
Details.
Yeah.
But I digress.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm going to be thinking about that all for the rest of the night. Wow. Well, speaking of that, thank you so much for spending time with us. Can you tell that we have a lot of fun doing this? And we hope that you take something from our discussion. It's just amazing how when we're together in this sort of collective experience, these things, sometimes you can see them with a sharper lens. And so that's the whole purpose of Soul Evolution Collaborative, is to come together in this collective experience and really explore these ideas. Because we know we learn so much more. We learn a lot on our own in our own spiritual practices, but man, don't we learn so much more when we can talk about it and learn from the collective experiences of all of us. So that is the point of Soul Evolution Collaborative. And so if you would like to explore this topic further, please join us on Thursday nights for the gathering. It is an amazing experience to once again learn from this collective wisdom of the people in this community. So just go over to our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org, and you can sign up for the gathering there. And then you'll receive an email once you sign up, and it'll have a link. And so that is Thursday at 7, and that's Eastern time. So the Soul Evolution Collaborative is supported, funded, fueled, maintained, sustained by all the amazing members and you in the audience here. And so if you would like to support the ministry of this collective experience, then like Dan said, go over soulevolutioncollaborative.org and click the donate button, or like, share, invite your friends and family, just to share in this just amazing experience of being together in the spiritual community. So to stay up to date on everything that's going on, and there's a lot going on and some really fun stuff that's coming up in the future, go over to soulevolutioncollaborative.org and sign up there. You can receive emails and updates and a lot of fun stuff. So we hope to see a lot of you on Thursday for the gathering, but if we don't, we'll see you back here next week. Be well.